Hey, welcome to An Open Conversation. I am Monica Neubauer.
And I'm Mark Neubauer.
And we're married. We have lots of conversations.
For 33
years.
33
yeah,
years.
33 years. Mm-hmm.
Right.
All right. Well, we are continuing our conversation. This would be part 2 of Mark's pain journey, kind of the physical side of things, even though we're going to talk today about hope and some of the things that goes on in your mind. Just to give a brief recap, Mark's pain journey encompasses a lot of parts of his body.
Yeah.
He has chronic back pain that goes with, creates sciatica. He's had surgery for that. He has scoliosis. He has plantar fasciitis in his feet. That one just came up recently. Bless me, right?
Yeah, it's so wonderful.
He has hyperhidrosis in his hands, so his hands sweat, and feet. And that's going to come into play also because he does. We'll have to talk about your Social Security disability journey in an episode.
Yeah.
And he has GERD, in digestional issues.
Yes. They're so wonderful.
They're all so wonderful.
So it's so delightful.
It's just one thing after another with you. Right.
You know what? We both have been listening to the Book of Joy, which is an interview with the Dalai Lama and Bishop Desmond Tutu.
Archbishop.
Oh, I'm sorry, Archbishop. And so one of the common denominators between the two is great suffering leads to great joy.
Yes.
So just been wonderful listening to them.
Yeah. Yes. So we would encourage that book, The Book of Joy, the Dalai Lama and Archbishop.
So press into your suffering.
Mark keeps reaching over here for things.
I know. I'm kidding.
Clicking things.
I'm kidding. I gotta have something to play with.
One of his nicknames as a kid was Kitty. Yeah. He's always playing and picking with something. And just don't click. No clicking.
You're clicking.
You're clicking.
Stop with the noises.
Okay. He has written, he's written some things about his journey, and we're going to have him put that in a blog so it can be written in his words verbatim that way, even though we'll be talking a lot about these things. But there are a couple paragraphs here that we felt worthy of reading. So this is his words because of his vision issue. Oh yeah, I didn't mention that in my overview, your vision issue. The joy. Okay. Anymore?
Bubbling with joy.
But anyway, because he can't see well, he can't read his own words on the piece of paper easily.
Right.
Yeah, that requires another pair of glasses.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, 3 pairs of glasses or something. All right, so from Mark, for those who suffer from chronic pain, it is the single most powerful motivating force in our lives. It controls our work, our play, our rest, our relationships with spouse, friends, family, God, and our thoughts, I would say, and hopes about the future. Pain management is an intricate balance. Now, this is really important. Pain management, because there's like pain management doctors, but it's your whole life is pain management. So pain management is an intricate balance of activity, medication, mindfulness, rest, and support from family and friends. It requires attention to all of these elements every day, and it's exhausting. One of the things I've learned about the medical community is that there is no one doctor looking out for you. We're going to talk about that some more today. They're not just looking out for your well-being, and certainly no one that will follow up to see how you're doing, because they're all treating just a part of you.
Right.
There's not one who's focused on, are we moving you in a good direction? So it's all your responsibility to keep up with your doctors and make sure that it's moving towards a good place. You have to take charge of your own health and treatment options, and you have to stay on top of it. So let's talk about your journey with the medical professionals, and also one of the threads we want to bring through this is the journey of hope, and where is hope, and self-pity.
Yeah.
Because they go together. I mean, they're kind of two sides of the, when you wake up every day and how you feel, is there hope that gives me encouragement? Am I feeling self-pity? And certainly the doctors and what the medical institution does contributes to that a lot.
Yeah.
But I think we put too much hope in them. I think that's a little bit of what you're saying there.
Well, yes. And what I think I have found a little bit frustrating is that each one of the different specialties of doctors, like a chiropractor, applied kinesiologist, or a pain management doctor, or your
Surgeon,
whatever, they all think that that their stream has the answers. Like the chiropractor can fix all of your pain, or whatever.
Right. Yeah. We love our chiropractor, but we don't think they are quite as quite as all fixing as they like to think they are.
Well, I worked with mine for 20 some years, so he recognizes that he doesn't have all the answers, especially when it comes to me.
Yeah, and we like him a lot. So
Yeah.
I've been with him 20 years.
Yeah. Jacob Houston, Royal Oaks Chiropractic. Give a little shout out to Jacob, because
Yep.
he's a good guy.
Yep, he is a good guy. We appreciate his
Yeah.
actually, he's been one of the main doctors who's been with us. The chiropractor has been one of the main doctors
Really,
with us on the journey.
The whole journey, right?
Yeah, and he does believe in some of these others. I mean, some chiropractors are a lot about the holistic part of the person. And so in that respect, they can be good because they are looking at
Right.
not just medical solutions. So
Right.
yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we've been seeing a chiropractor for forever. And you certainly, with your focus on your scoliosis, did it help you in your younger years?
Oh, no question. Especially when I first started going to him, I was having some intense neck pain and upper shoulder pain, and basically from a straight neck. And yeah, he was
a huge help. He was a major part of your healthcare for a long time in the
Yes.
just for general scoliosis and back care.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Keeping things moving.
But I will say, with chiropractic, we've seen a few others, and we always read about and listen to other people's journeys as well. If you want to work with a chiropractor, make sure you find one you like. We really like Doc, and
Yeah.
he's been a great asset to our family.
Yeah.
We have worked with other chiropractors that we didn't connect with as well, or
Yeah.
they didn't go with our philosophies as well.
Right.
So
Yes.
if you don't have a chiropractor that you like, it might be worth finding another one.
Yes.
You agree?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So we've had an excellent chiropractor for a long time. You also have, now here's one of the things with Mark, you have to recognize we're talking the skeletal system, the digestive system, the feet, your eyes are kind of another thing out there, but neuro, we haven't met with any neurosurgeons.
No,
yet.
I'm just saying.
The psychiatric, you haven't.
Well,
We did that too.
Oh, yeah, we tried.
We have done therapy as well. So, okay, I guess let's address it for your back pain. I guess before, there's so much to talk about. At first, I was thinking of the GP, because if you have a really good GP, you can look at there a little bit. If you have a really good GP, they can possibly help you manage this a little bit. But Mark's GP left, and then he got with another one and another one and another one. So we've been moved around in our practice.
Right.
And so the GP's not.
Well, and even the opioid crisis has changed how GPs can help people with chronic pain. So.
Right. Yeah. So we're going to talk about that too with the opioids, and certainly that is a part of it. All right. Well.
Yeah. I long for the good old days when the GP could help you. But
yeah.
it doesn't happen.
There's so much about moving to the specialists.
Yes.
And a lot of back folks do have neurologists. Actually, when you said that, neurologist, is that the right word? Who do the brain and spine?
Yeah, sure. That's what it is.
We are not doctors, and we do not play them on TV. We just know a lot of them. Yeah, that is kind of a good disclaimer to say this is our experience.
Yes.
And we want to help you wade through this experience with your doctors in a way that can be helpful to you.
Yes.
But it's the brain. I think that's a neurologist.
Yes.
Yeah. But we haven't done that. That's not been your journey.
Right.
But that is another doctor.
Right.
So Mark's doctors include, so he has his GP, he has the back doctor, which is also the back surgeon.
Mhm.
And then with that, you often will get a pain management doctor or a shot doctor. Sometimes the doctors who give the shots are the pain management specialists as well, but
Yeah.
not always.
Correct.
Or
Yeah.
different kinds of shots.
Correct. Well, that's one of the things
Treatments,
with
yeah.
our bone and joint clinic. They now have the guy who can do shots
Shots.
right there in the office. So you
Cortisone
don't have
shots
to
and
go
that
to
kind of
another
thing.
doctor. Is really wonderful.
Yeah.
Actually.
And then that doctor, actually, you did your plantar fasciitis through them as well.
Yes.
Is that a normal? Is that the normal doctor people would go to for plantar fasciitis? I don't know.
Did I? I can't remember. Well, it was the same office. So
Yeah,
I
like
think it
shots
was
doctors or shots doctors.
yeah, it might have been a podiatrist in the same bone and joint clinic. So they have ones who specialize in, neck and spine, and then
Oh, right.
feet
Then you
and-
probably have
and ankle and knees.
right,
so
and
they're
hips
all-
and knees,
yeah.
and so bone and joint, they do a lot of that. All right, so see what's in your practices like that. So good. That's been one thing that's kind of streamlined for you.
Yes.
But once you get done with the surgeon or the back doctor, when they're finished with your situation, and part of Mark's journey was in trying to understand options out there, we met with another doctor outside of our network, and they had kind of a more experimental thing. And that didn't go through our insurance. So we ended up not doing that. And it turned out to be fine. I guess, sometimes you don't know.
Yeah.
You don't know what you don't know. But
Yep.
what were you gonna say about that?
No, keep going.
But that was part of the journey. It was just still one of the things with the medical journey is you're just always trying to, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Don't give up. And
Well, that's what I was
Good.
or read about hope.
Yeah.
Hope is really the hope that the next thing will work.
yeah,
And when sometimes one thing will work for a season and then it'll kind of stop working. So just look for something else.
yeah,
There's I think it's a proverb that says hope deferred makes the heart sick. I used
Yeah.
to always think that meant if you don't get what you've hoped for, the heart becomes sick, but that's not what that means. It means that when you lose hope, your heart becomes sick.
yeah,
So always that's where the keep trying comes in,
right.
because you keep trying new things that keeps that hope alive.
Yeah, that something else might give you some relief or be
Right.
better for you.
Right.
One of the other things that I guess we need to address, and I'm not quite sure, I hadn't thought through this, how to go with this, is
Yeah.
it's some of these things are covered by insurance and some of them are not.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so if you don't have some money, I mean, the word, I guess, is resources, but if you don't have some money to do that, we're certainly not rolling in the dough, but we do have some resources. And so
That's to interject there too, is that Western medicine just does a terrible job at dealing with chronic issues. They just do. They're so much better equipped at dealing with acute things. And I'm glad to be living in America, because if you need an acute doctor, they're very good at it. But the chronic stuff, because they're not so good at it, you have to go outside the traditional doctor surgeon avenue.
right, you're going to.
I mean, it's just up until a few years ago where they started covering chiropractic visits
Right.
with your insurance. I mean,
Yeah.
that's
Well, and that's our
relatively
insurance
a
has
new
never,
thing.
yeah, we didn't have chiropractic insurance even in ours. That's another thing. We're self-employed. So we have, everybody has kind of different insurances
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, your surgeon, your doctor, often the chronic pain, those were covered by insurance, your chronic pain visits.
Yes.
Chiropractor may or may not be. Sometimes you'll go see functional doctors who will help with your blood work, your supplements.
Right.
They're usually not covered by insurance. And some of the other things we're going to talk about, acupuncture,
right.
the float, you did
Right.
the float thing,
therapy.
those kinds of things are certainly not covered by insurance. So if I want to start this out by saying, don't feel overwhelmed, just have a savings account for that.
Yeah.
If you're going to start trying some of these things that are outside the medical industry in more of a holistic or what they call functional medicine,
Yeah.
just start saving some money for that. And that's one of the things we've actually done with our insurance is we have our insurance. Mark is on Medicare through his disability, and I have a self-employed insurance policy. And we don't have a health savings account as the government defines it, but we've kind of created that. So we have our savings account for those extra things, medical things that we take the money out of. So we know it's there. So
which I keep forgetting to
pay the bills out of it.
Right.
I'm going to be giving money back to
It's really
myself.
nice to have it if you remember to
if you
use
remember
it.
to use it. So we want to encourage you to be thinking about that as we talk about some of these things, and the question may come up, how do I pay for those? Is yes, you need to start saving some money for it.
Yep.
And generally, some of these places too will have, like the float thing you could buy 3 visits, intro pricing. So you can try a lot of them either on, what's that? Groupon and things like that. And if you start going somewhere, they'll often give you a benefit if you buy 10 visits, even like massages, if you buy them in advance and you buy them for more money. Again, those things you can look for some bargains there, but it's going to have to save your money.
Yeah.
Okay. So hope was in, there's always something else to try.
Yes.
I haven't exhausted everything.
Yes.
And we can't do it all on this episode. So we're specifically going to focus on diet and like digestive things on another episode. That's a whole nother journey. So mostly we're going to be focusing on things for your back that you've tried.
Yes.
Okay. So you went to the surgeon, you ended up with surgery, and
right.
When your back spasm, you went to the doctor as well. But during those times when you were in acute pain after your surgery, there comes a point where the doctor can't help you anymore, or surgeons don't have a pain management unless they create one in their office.
Right.
That's not something that they do.
Right.
They don't keep seeing you to help you manage your pain. So then you go to, at least in Tennessee where we live, you go to a pain management clinic.
Right.
And that's a certain kind of doctor.
Right.
And what do they do?
Well, but I really don't know the full history of how the pain management
division came to pass.
Well, and also continues to evolve because whereas before, let's say, we need to do a whole section on talking about opioids, but because the opioid crisis keeps changing, it's affecting what the responsibilities and what the pain management people actually can and cannot do.
The pain management doctors, in our experience, the pain management doctors in our experience are basically the keeper of the opioids.
Yes.
I mean, there's other doctors who can prescribe it. There's, surgeons do and dentists do and things like that. And
that's true on one level. The other thing too is they also are a wealth of information of other things that can help.
And that's the goal. And
like
the pain management, that's certainly where it's going, is we don't want to give everybody opioids. What else can you do?
Right. And that, once you've run out of ideas, they may have more ideas for you. So that was true in my case.
And so part of that, when Mark was talking about the whole opioids thing, and we're certainly not an expert on the history of it or how we all got here. We have opinions about it. We're not going to go there. But the fact of the matter is we have an opioids crisis in this country. And the other fact of the matter is that people with a lot of chronic pain sometimes need pain meds.
Right.
And there's a lot of them out there that work to varying degrees. And the opioids generally, in some respects, work the best, but they are addictive because when you had to get off of them.
Well, that's true. And I've detoxed off of them multiple times. I didn't even know it. I would take them, just as I needed them. Like when the pain gets up, to where you just can't take it anymore. And sometimes it goes on for a couple of days. Sometimes it went on for a couple of weeks. But I didn't realize that, I guess my threshold is probably after about a week to 10 days, your brain becomes addicted to the opioids.
Yep.
And so you have to taper off of them. You just can't, I would just go cold turkey.
I'm not hurting today, so I'm
not going to tell you.
one.
And then, the next morning I'd wake up and have this blistering headache that would last for like 4 or 5 days. It's like, oops. Oh, it happened like 6 times before I realized what was happening. I'm like, so stupid.
Because there's a lot of people, Mark is one of the people who, he's taking care of his body for a long time. And so he didn't want to take opioids all the time. But until we dug in and found out these other things, and really until we found yoga.
Right. Well, it also, the other downside to the opioids is that it creates that feedback loop where if you take them over a long period of time, because your brain gets so addicted to the opioids, your brain will actually create pain in order to get the opioids. Does that make sense?
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
What you're saying is Mark's a hobby. He reads a lot of neuroscience and stuff. So what he's saying is that your body wants the drug, and if pain is what gets the drug, so whatever's in your brain it can create pain in order to create the desire.
So while they're wonderful medications for recovering from surgery and for shorter term relief, the other problem is once you get used to a certain dosage, you're going to need more to get the same relief. So that's why it's also, can become addictive. And so, yes, just to throw in my story, one of the things.
And we want to remember this is Mark's condition and Mark's story.
Yeah.
Other people's physical pain is different. Their story is different. And that's why doctors need to understand everybody's individual story. So we're very grateful for the doctor who introduced yoga, because that was really the key that got you back to a better place of health.
But to continue on with the opioids, one of the things that's challenging for me is because I can't sometimes even taking ibuprofen one time, I will get a physical reaction. So I get facial edema, which is swelling of your face, and I'll have significant memory issues
with ibuprofen. And so that's another thing is that,
which it just becomes embarrassing, when you're with friends and family and you're like,
I can't remember your name. How many years have I known you?
Your daughter,
She lived with us 3 months. Your daughter, that one.
So, and also ibuprofen just doesn't work on sciatica. So
well, and some people are taking other medications and various things clash as well. Yeah. So yes, ibuprofen is an amazing drug that when you do take it, you get relief.
So in a perfect world, if we could go back, roll the clock back before the opioid crisis, it'd be better for me, but that's not the reality that I live in right now.
Right. So because of that, most people just don't get opioids anymore. So it's not a thing. So you have to find the other options that are out there, and you have to press into them because that's just not available. If you can take ibuprofen, and doctors will prescribe, there's other drugs, and there's muscle relaxers. There's nerve drugs. Yeah. We're not going to get into any of those. They all have various purposes and things. Mark's tried most of them. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And, muscle relaxers are still a thing. So there's various combinations, and that's part of what the pain medicine doctor will do for you is help you find, they don't want you to be on opioids. And so they're going to help you try some of these other drugs to see if one of them will give you any relief from the pain. And that's really, and then they also have other resources like shots and other things. Yeah. So that's the pain management. Those doctors are there with a goal to help you find some way, but they don't access the things like float and acupuncture and chiropractor. And that's where you kind of need to figure that out together yourself. Right. Is there anything else about the opioid? I guess I would say one thing to anybody who's watching this is the opioid problem on the street and the drug addiction is a real problem. And it needs to be dealt with. However, people in a lot of pain not being able to get access to opioids and even have that as an occasional drug, that's a problem too.
Yes.
So we want to just speak that from the pain side to say, that pendulum that has swung over there has affected a lot of people. We've been in some chronic pain groups on Facebook and seen how some of these doctors just cut off people's drugs. You can't get them anymore, opioids, and now people are withdrawing and now they don't have pain. And some people, their pain was very well managed by the opioids and they could function very well, and now they can't. So we really want that message to be heard, is that yes, it has to be dealt with,
pain.
but it also, we got to get back to some better way to help some of these people who are living in just horrific pain all the time.
Yeah.
So, okay. So what are some of the other options that?
Well, we'll start with the biggest, which is for me, was the yoga, which was, I had done yoga prior to back surgery.
We did try yoga for a while. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for several years. And, it was really helpful.
But it also hurts you sometimes.
Well, that's the thing. When I was getting that constricted spinal cord, then it just became too painful. It wasn't helpful anymore. So, I had taken a break for several years.
Okay. But wait, so there's a lesson there. So you were doing yoga and this was before your surgery.
Right.
So your back situation changed. It got complicated.
Right.
You quit doing yoga.
Right.
And then you didn't think about it as an option again
Right.
after the surgery. And it was a few years after your surgery when the doctors were saying, you need to do yoga. It's going to work well for you. And they were right. But we didn't think about going back to yoga because it hadn't worked before. But now your situation was different.
Right. And I also had it in my mind that, I was doing yoga prior to surgery more as a workout. So more as a kind of an intensive
cardio yoga.
Right. Yeah. And so that's kind of what I just had that stuck in my head. That's what yoga was about. And then, so it was.
I don't like cardio yoga. I don't like hot yoga. Tell us about
hot yoga. Yeah. So anyway,
yogas are not created equal. Let's tell you that.
So it was a visit to pain management doctor, and he suggested the vinyasa yoga, which is basically just stretching, just holding poses for, I hold my poses for about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So
vinyasa is a gentle stretching kind of yoga.
Right.
So it moves very slowly.
Very slowly.
A lot about good breathing and just long-term holding stretches.
Right. And within a week, I got relief from my sciatica.
Yeah. Wow.
So
that's great. And how often do you do it now?
At least twice a week and up to 4 times a week.
So your general exercise plan right now, even though this is subject to change, is you walk the dog, a lengthy walk in the morning, short walk in the afternoon, and you do yoga 2 to 4 times a week.
Yeah. And I would like to be doing more.
He likes to pump iron. He likes to do some weights.
Yeah. Or even calisthenics. But, again, that's the problem with pain is that, you pull something or what, you got a severe muscle spasm. And so it knocks you down. So you're doing heavier workouts, it's like starting over anew every month there.
Right. Because you have something different in your body.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Takes 21 days to form a habit and 3 days to break a good habit. So,
but let me share something right here.
Do, Monica.
This is for people who either have Social Security disability, whoever has Medicare. And generally, you get Medicare at age 65. Everybody who's paid in the system can get it. And you have it because you did get the disability. And again, we'll do that on a separate episode. But with that, so it's getting all your Medicare ducks in a row is kind of a big deal. What's the Medicare one that you got that was free that we just got signed up for that gives you the free health club benefit?
Oh, the Cigna.
Well, Cigna, but what's it called with Medicare?
It's just a supplementary
something. It's free for Mark, and we got it from our insurance agent, and so he gets some benefit for getting Mark on it. But it's a preventive care program with Medicare, and in that he has a free membership to a gym. So one of the things we're talking about right now is because I need to pay a little bit more attention to that as well for myself, and he can go for free, and if I can get a membership. And then maybe he just goes and wanders around in the gym and does whatever he wants.
Right.
You know, it's just kind of becomes a better habit with that. But I wanted to let you know, if you do have Medicare, you can get, we could get the free, you know, I think that's probably across the board, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. So the yoga. And so you spend about 45 minutes. And one of the fun things that we have found is, Mark found he follows a few yoga instructors on YouTube. So you can start there just at home, look for Vinyasa Yoga on YouTube.
Yeah.
And once he learned the stretches, now he just does the stretches that he wants. And another thing that we've found for ourselves that has created peace in our household, the best piece is actually having good conversation so that you're content with each other, but that's later on too. But anyway, these YouTube channels that artists have created with drone footage or things, and they've put this fabulous music with it, and it's excellent for doing yoga and stretching.
Yes.
And creating this peaceful music feel in your home.
And downloading an interval timer for your phone.
Interval timer. What does it do?
It just, you can set it to, you know, if you want to do a 3-minute stretch and then a 15-second pause to get ready for your next stretch, you can just set it for that. And you know, I think mine's set for 10 stretch sets or something like that.
Yeah.
And so you can just have that on so you don't have to be thinking about,
is it 3 minutes yet?
Yeah.
Or 2.5 minutes or whatever you want.
Which once you do it for a long time, you can just count your breaths, and it's amazing how spot on I can be with that 3-minute mark with a 30 count.
Well, it helps for him. And he's more of a contemplative, quiet kind of personality. So he enjoys that restfulness of it. I like the timer for me because I get more restless in the poses and I got to go do something and I got to go to work, you know, like this. So it reminds me that this is time you set aside for this, just lean into it and enjoy it. So it works for everybody.
Yeah.
All right. We want to talk about a few other things. So the yoga, we've talked about that. Anything else with the yoga?
No.
Okay.
Just I know it can be difficult starting it, especially if you have got your whole body hurts all the time. I totally get that. You know, I've had that. You know, you have these days where even your hair hurts, you know. but just do it. Just do it. Like it took me several weeks to get more comfortable with it and doing it initially I did it every day just because I wanted to, you know, kind of do a deep dive.
And certainly they should check with their own doctor because your condition, if anybody who's listening, would be different. So if you have concern, double check it with your doctor first and make sure that's good for you.
Disclaimer.
The old doctor disclaimer. We are not doctors.
Please check with your doctor before trying any of these exercises at home.
Exactly right. It's a thing. All right. So
I would say talk about community because that's a huge one.
Why don't you just mention it? I want to talk about that different. I want to talk about that because I want to get with a couple other specific things.
Then go ahead.
Community. We'll come back to community in another episode. But let's talk about the motion is lotion again. Motion is lotion, moving around. So you do at the house now, you do art, you do a little bit of fix it work, you create meals for us. All of this depends on your day. If the day just falls apart, you know, you still do dinner, you get up and do dinner. And when you have a hard day, you generally like sit down at 2:00 in the afternoon or 3:00 and you have a beer or you have a cup of tea or something that's going to help you calm down and you watch a little TV when you have a bad day. Yeah. And then you still come back and you fix dinner then generally. Right. So talk about how the motion is lotion and the importance of moving through your day.
Well, everybody's going to be different, but I've noticed that I have more energy and more, you know, my back has been rested, you know, through the night. So my mornings are generally much better where I can get more done physically. Mm-hmm. So I take advantage of that. And you know, that's one thing with the chronic pain, you definitely develop routines, you know, where, you know, scheduled resting in the day so that you can continue to do more. So, and for me, my routine is often changes a little bit seasonally, but
You generally get up early
Get up very early. Yeah.
and take a walk in the morning.
And often getting up very early is just, my back is just tired of lying down.
your back is glad to go to bed and your back is glad to get
Your
up.
pain puts you to sleep and pain wakes you up.
Yep. Yep. So you tend to get up early and you have your little morning routine and you go for a walk, which I've been joining you on the walk. And then you do what you do.
And then depending on, especially honestly, how much yoga in the morning is often based on how bad I was the day before.
So if you're bad the day before, yoga is going to be first thing in your day.
Yes,
you
it's
need
going to be
get some stretch
priority.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if I overdid the day before, that's another thing. Like if I did too much physical activity,
you might need, you might do some different stretches, but stretches are still good. Yeah. But you need both of these movement things in the morning because it becomes kind of a thing. This is how I've talked about it with some of my other friends who've had some pain surgery or had some surgery or pain going. And they say, well, I don't want to have to exercise all day. And my response is, if you don't exercise, you have no life.
Yeah.
I mean, truly. So the fact of you setting aside 30 minutes to take a walk and 30 minutes to do yoga, if you don't take an hour to exercise, you don't get the other 8 hours of the day to do anything.
Right. That's true. So, and well, the other thing too, I think I've learned that, now that I turned 61 on Monday. So
he does.
Now that I've literally, this is the first year where arthritis has been a factor.
Oh, something else.
Isn't that delightful?
Oh, so happy. Bless me.
Special. My mom and I we used to say Arthur is visiting today.
All right.
He just won't leave.
And he just won't leave.
Yeah. So, but the motion and the stretching, especially the vinyasa yoga, super helpful for arthritis.
Oh, yeah.
Well, because the way I understand arthritis to work is that it kind of builds up over time. So the more stagnation in your body, the more it's kind of like,
it kind of crystallizes or something. And you need to move.
Yeah, like fungus growing.
I was going to say, you're going to say something that's kind of gross, like fungus growing in your bones. Maybe that's really what it is.
But it ends up tearing it up. So the motion is kind of tears up the
arthritis crystals or fungus.
Whatever I don't know. All I know is it's super helpful, that in heat as well. So. Oh yeah,
heat and cool.
But the heat is.
Talk about the heat and the cool.
Well, no, what I was going to say was with the motion is producing heat in your body.
Right.
So any of that exercises and stretching is literally, you're creating heat for the pain relief. So.
Okay. So let's talk about then heat, cool baths.
Oh, yes. So
there's a difference using heat or cold.
Well, for me, I have to deal with delightful muscle spasms that, just muscles will just lock up, and it's amazing how much pain they can create. But to relieve that, I switch between heat and ice.
Yeah.
So, and that's for blood flow. So you want to get blood flowing to the injured body part. And that's true for any strains or anything. It's just combination of heat and ice. And sometimes, when you have arthritis, the heat is often going to feel better while you're applying it.
Yeah.
But when it's that sharp pain, I switch it up with ice.
Yeah.
It's helpful, really helpful.
So I guess people need to see what works better for themselves. And then sometimes a bath works, not necessarily always. And I guess that's another thing people should use as a resource, because sometimes it does work great.
Oh yeah, I did the Epsom salt.
You did have an Epsom bath and you really liked it, but you're not a big bath person.
Right, not a big bath person.
So it's not something that you generally access for relief, but
I don't bathe. That came out.
And he showers like 3 times a day. Yeah. We live in Tennessee. We get lots of rain, and he takes like 3 showers a day. Because when you sweat a lot, that makes you feel better. And that's another little aside there is when you have pain in different areas of your body, if you can create relief in one area, that may be able to help you manage
Yes.
the pain in the other.
Yes.
So the showers makes you
Yep.
feel better from the sweating.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you're having to deal with pain and you're
Yeah.
sweaty and uncomfortable,
Yeah.
it's like gross.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Everybody deals with chronic pain, especially when it comes in multiple streams or whatever, different kinds of pain, different kinds of discomfort in your body. Helping any one of them will help you in general, because you don't want to get to that place where you just shut down. You're like,
well, there are people who, whatever their condition is, that showering or bathing is very uncomfortable. Our dog down here is kind of around. Just
talk about dogs.
petting my. Oh yeah, we'll talk about dogs. Not right now, but but dogs are another thing.
Mm-hmm.
But folks, there are people who, I don't know exactly what it is, but they taking a shower or a bath. I don't know if it's the act of getting undressed or getting in the tub or what it actually is. But I would say to that situation, however you have it, find out for yourself what works. If being in the tub, but if getting in the tub is hard, it's so important when you're solving a problem to know what the problem is.
Yes.
And so for somebody who doesn't like showering or bathing, because it's hard to get in the tub, because getting undressed is difficult, or do you need a chair in the shower? Where is the difficulty to get to the benefit?
Yeah.
Because maybe you can create some way. I mean, for an example, we do have a shower chair. We have a teak chair that we put in the shower sometimes, although you can get those medical chairs, probably pretty affordable, but we don't have it in the shower now. Mark doesn't need it now. He has used it, but we keep it, this could be a little TMI, but not really. So Mark likes to wash his feet in the morning because they've been sweaty, and he wants to put them in nice, clean socks. So we put the shower chair next to the shower so he can sit down at the bathtub, wash his feet, dry them off, put the socks on. And that's just one of those things where, gosh, putting my socks on in the morning and washing off, I'm not ready to fully take a shower. So he goes through 2 or 3 pairs of socks a day. Yes, that's a thing too. Giving yourself permission to say, buy yourself enough socks so you can wear 3 pairs of socks in a day and figure out how to do that. So that's just my suggestion. And specifically with bathing, I know, but even with yoga, a good yoga instructor will say, hey, you can't get in that position. Use these little blocks or these ropes or, whatever the straps to help you. Yeah. The journey to any place where this is going to be good for you, there may be points along the way that are challenging, and that's the next step. And we're going to talk about community in another one, but how, and even relationships in, with your spouse or your parents or kids or whatever, how to get that help that you need. But I just wanted to find that, what is there an obstacle for you and something that may be good for you? Yeah. Figure the obstacle.
Yeah. You mentioned something that I think is worth talking about too.
Go ahead.
That's giving yourself permission.
Giving yourself permission is a huge thing.
Yes. Very, very important concept to understand. You have to know your body, know your limitations, always pushing your limitations, but when you need to take a break, take a break.
Take a nap.
Like for me, if my back starts to spasm, I know I can start to feel it building. So I know, if I don't stop and sit down for 45 minutes, it could go badly later.
Right. Yeah.
So it's this permission-based.
We should probably do a whole episode on that for a lot of things. Yeah. Because I want to wrap this one up. Permission, give yourself permission. And with a couple other things that we may go into some more with diet, but just a few of the other things that Mark has tried to varying degrees of help. We have been in kinesiology. That's another holistic kind of medical. It has to do with the energy in your body.
Applied
kinesiology. Then acupuncture, which didn't help you, but does help some people.
Yeah.
The float, you tried to float,
yeah,
and you didn't care for that for you much.
Well, the first time I did it, it was pretty good. And then the second time I did it, my neck was hurting too much. I couldn't relax. I tried putting the little ring behind my neck, and then I got salt in my eyes, and then I got salt in my eyes again. I'm like, oh my God,
Get me out of here.
Yeah, it's just like, this is so not worth. This is creating more stress and angst than it is helping.
So we still have one float.
But I was really more interested in if the influx of magnesium into your body, if that was, so sometimes I would just sit in the float tub instead of trying to relax into it. So just to try to get that magnesium, which is what the Epsom salts is. It's
magnesium. Yeah.
Yes, it's the same salts. It's just in a lower concentration.
Just like, so then you can do that at home. And we're going to talk about, magnesium and vitamin D are very underrated. We'll talk about those with diet, but
yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to use the last float membership because one of my other friends who is a fellow workaholic like me says, oh my gosh, this is the greatest way to relax and stress. And so I need to find ways to relax. And this friend told me that it was
a piece of advice, even with your hair.
Oh,
just go back slowly and then just stay back. Don't move too much.
So
and keep a towel right there on the edge of the float thing. So if you have to wipe your eye, you can just reach for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So floating, acupuncture, diet is going to be a big thing. We're going to do a whole episode on that for the back as well as for the intestinal thing.
Yes.
Inflammation.
Yes.
Any other kind of we haven't talked about CBD. We can talk about that in another one too.
You know what? I didn't mention this with the yoga. This one.
Oh, all right. Well, let's close this. Mark has one more thing to go with the yoga. We'll get into some of these other things in another episode and wrap us up with that concept.
This is a really important concept. It's so what happens with the chronic pain journey is that every time you feel pain, it triggers, it says in your brain, bad. Pain is bad. Pain is bad. I'm in pain. Pain is bad. With the yoga, you learn the difference between good pain and bad pain. You train the brain to understand that every time you feel pain, it's not a bad thing. So pain, we learned that in third grade science class, that pain is a way of triggering your body that something's wrong.
Yeah.
But it also can mean that you're just,
you're changing something. Especially as you get a little bit older.
So interesting. There was an Invisibilia podcast, NPR Invisibilia. They did a whole podcast on this pain treatment for especially young women with,
I can start guessing, but like
fibromyalgia pain, where just everything
all
hurts,
your nerve, everything hurts your body,
and intense joint pain,
yeah,
as well. So they sent them to this place where they had them do intense exercises. Like intense workouts where they were just.
I'm sure they were dying.
They would have been tough workouts for like anybody. It sounds like, but literally, it was. The theory is that it trains the brain to understand the difference between good pain and bad pain, and that it kind of resets the part in your brain that deals with pain.
Yeah.
And I think that that's one of the reasons why yoga works.
Yeah. So did that work for those young women?
Yes, remarkable.
Enabled them to do what?
To live. Some of them were just ready to die. They're on, they're suicidal. I think anybody who's dealt with intense chronic pain has wondered if life is worth living, and so.
Yeah. So this learning between good pain and bad pain and being able to live with good pain.
Yes. Well,
or even.
It does something in the brain.
Yeah.
Our brains are complicated.
But I think we know that when we work out, we know that if we have our muscle sore from a good workout, that is it's the pain of change.
All right. That's another podcast.
All right. Just remember, not all pain is bad, and you want to learn the difference. Yeah. All right. We're going to wrap up this episode now. And thank you very much for joining us. And
it's good to be with you.
We'll see you next time.